if you're traveling in the North Country Fair. I'm coming home, tell the world I'm coming.
Well, here in the North Country, it's great scenery, that's for sure. If you're an outdoorsy person, there are lots of, you can go fishing, hiking, hunting. There's lots of opportunities for an outdoorsy person up here in the North Country.
Well, I think that obviously depends person to person, but if you like snowy weather and general grayness, then it's good. Also, it's a small town, and if you really like small town places, then this is great. The people here are very friendly, and there are enough places so that you don't get bored, but you're not overwhelmed with stuff. So.
I moved personally to the North Country for this job. I needed to relocate to the East Coast. I'm not from the North Country. I'm originally from New Hampshire, and I needed to relocate to the East Coast. So this job came up, and I moved from Minnesota to here. So employment would be a big one, albeit given the economic circumstances in the North Country, that may be not something that draws a lot of people in. I mean, I think the other thing that would be the real draw in would be relationship to things like canoeing, the Adirondacks, that you wanted to live in a place where those kind of recreational abilities were available. There is also a sort of, what's the word I want? Blossoming, that's not the word I want. Slowly evolving community of people who are off the grid and who are coming here because land is cheap. You know, that you can afford land really for not a lot of money. That's one, in the trade-offs that one has. And so that would be another reason. I think that community is here, and there are people here who are networking to do that, and that would draw people into the North Country.
Why would someone move here? I would say that beautiful scenery, things like the Adirondack Mountains, you can go hiking, do all sorts of outdoor sports, and the skiing here, Whiteface, some of the best in the East. So if you like to ski, it's definitely a great place to be.
As we know, we could say that there's not much to do in the North Country, I guess. If you're a sort of a city kind of person, you're not going to get to enjoy the bustling, all the traffic, lots of people. So if that's for you, you might not want to live in the North Country.
The reason to leave would be the obvious one is the lack of employment. That there just aren't a lot of jobs here. We have the highest unemployment rate in this county in the state of New York. My wife went through an unexpected loss of a job, and that almost drove us out of the region. We were pretty close to the point where I was going to have to start looking for jobs elsewhere, so we could move to somewhere where there actually was an infrastructure wherein she could find a job. So I'm sure would be the compelling reason for people to leave.
Maybe availability of resources, like to be in a city with more stuff around, or like financial reasons, I guess. Like that's pretty much why.
As far as why I would move away, the weather kind of sucks a lot of the time. It's really cold. Right now it's raining out. It snows for a lot of the year, and it's kind of dreary mostly. Also, there's not a lot of people and not a lot to do outside of the university when you go out.
Country. Surprisingly, I think there are nutritional issues, most particularly obesity, from the lack of access due to cost barriers to healthy food for many of the people in the North Country. Secondarily, accidents, mainly due to the environment and the situation in which we are, and alcohol and drug abuse is part of that as well as the many things that happen while people farm and can and do maple syrup. This answer may be a surprising one. We have medical resources that I think are much better than many people think we have. If you look at the schools from which many of our local physicians got their medical degrees, you find McGill, you find Duke, you find University of Chicago. So we have some well-trained people. Do we have enough providers. We certainly have enough basic healthcare providers. I know there's a shortage of general practitioners right now, but that has generally not been the case. One of the things that people forget is we don't have a population that is able to support some of the high-tech specialties that people want. Do we have a pediatric cardiologist? No, we don't. Do we have enough people to keep a pediatric cardiologist busy and at the top of her game? No, we do not. So although we unfortunately have to go fair distances for the highly specialized care, if we brought a specialist in some of these areas to our locale, they wouldn't have enough work to do to keep them state of the art, and then what good would they be anyway? So I do think that although, especially students, laugh about our health care here and the availability of healthcare resources, I think we really are better off than most of us realize. Okay, projection of the future for the inhabitants of the North Country and their well-being. I really don't see any tremendous change. I think the economic situation of New York State particularly and the federal government overall are going to, I think we're going to be lucky to keep the status quo, which is not particularly wonderful as it is. So I don't think that there will be any major changes, any major groups of people coming in or people going out. Perhaps the young people will continue to leave who are from here. But I don't really think there's going to be many essential changes in the population and the well-being of the North Country.